Hey everybody, it's episode 331.
And we are talking juicing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Prime Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Skip Wyss, and as always, I have my beautiful, wonderful co-host, Dr. Julie Wyss, with me. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. You look really pretty today. You are super yellow.
It's supposed to be my color palette.
It fits you well. Does it give you power? Does it energize you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's growing on me.
I think it looks really pretty. I think you look great. You look like a nice lemon. Speaking of juice.
Of juices.
Yep,
yeah.
sweet and tart.
That would probably be pretty good fruit drink. You could call me.
A lemon or margarita?
Tart.
Tart.
And sweet.
Tart and sweet. Sweet sometimes, yes. Tart. Yeah, I would say so, maybe. What would I be then? What would my juice
I don't know,
drink
blueberry
be?
lemonade popped into my head, but I'm not
Yeah,
really sure.
or just apple juice.
A watermelon crisper.
Always consistent.
Apple juice. With lots of pulp.
Yeah. An apple juice?
Oh, I was thinking you said orange juice.
Well, okay. So let's talk about juicing today, Dr. Julie. I think that juicing is one of those things that is super important for the body, especially this time of year. Staying healthy. Commonly, we get over sugar consumption in the winter and we get under sugar consumption in the summer because people are always trying to lose weight. And I think that it actually should be reversed, where we really cut down on our sugars during the winter because we're usually less active.
Mm-hmm.
And during the summer, we're more active. There's sports. There's lots of outdoor activities. There's tons of stuff, especially here in Wisconsin. And then people try to lose weight in the summer and really try to restrict their sugar intake when really you should just keep your sugar intake up year round with a caveat.
I'm going to say, because we really need the electrolytes, we need the sugars, we need the trace minerals, we need all of those extra processes to help the body.
Absolutely.
But summertime is a lot easier, I think, to be able to do. So I think it gets forgotten, right? I think
It
in
does.
the hustle and bustle of summer, that juicing it does take a little bit of work, a little bit of prep, but it can also be a lot of fun. And with farmers markets this time of year makes it a little bit easier as well it's fun to go and to pick out the vegetables and the fruits and things that you're going to be juicing, and get to know your local farmer. And I think that's what also makes it fun to be able to do that as a family.
Let's talk about juicing then right away and the benefits of actually juicing versus eating the vegetable and fruit itself. Number one is you get more exposure to all of the vitamins and all of the good sugars that are in it. I'm not a proponent of eating excess sugar. I think excess sugar is really hard on your body. But getting it in the form of fruits and berries is extremely important, and coming in the form of vegetables as well. I know there's going to be people out there that listen to this and they're going to get fired up and they're going to say stuff about, do I know the differences between sugars, and do I know the differences between good sugar and bad sugar, and that there's more sugar in squash than there are in berries and all these other things. And yeah, I don't really care. What matters to me is that you're consuming it in the form of its whole food source versus putting it in the form of a candy bar.
Candy bar, or processed in a can.
Yep.
Or like the thing is that it's processed lots of times when you get it in a can, or if you're cooking it. Sometimes we think that it would be the same if we cook the vegetables on the stove or we microwave them and they end up on our plate, where that's really depleting a lot of the nutrients that we really need. And by juicing them, we're actually getting all of those things in their whole form.
And you can get a boatload of different vegetables and fruit in your juices. We have somebody that juices for us, Jen, out of O'Connell area, Jen Showman. Jen's Juice does a great job making juice, and you can get tons of phytonutrients and chemicals. Like, I don't mean to say chemicals, but phytonutrients and like
vitamins,
minerals, all of that from the fruit if it's organic. And it's coming into your body, and you can start mixing it up. So you're not just going to eat carrots or just eat tomatoes or just eat berries. Like, you're getting these all in different forms, a blend, which then allows your body to go through the process of breaking everything down like it's supposed to. The big difference between buying juice in the store that they say is 100% juice, but it's just water, fractionated form of juice, and then high fructose corn syrup or some sort of sweetener in there. Because if your palate is extremely used to sugar, you need more sweetener for things to taste sweet. When your palate isn't used to a lot of sugars, when it's used to just normal sugars that come in the form of fruits, berries, and vegetables, your palate is way less sensitized. Therefore, everything tastes sweeter anyways.
And I would say, like, when we're juicing, it's a lot easier to also sneak some things in that potentially, like, let's just face it, adults and kids can be really picky. Say if it's spinach, or even some of the juices that I've done, like cayenne. Like, I'm not going to go and reach cayenne off of the shelf and eat that. But when you put that in a juice with some oranges and some apples and some citrus, carrots, then it's not as spicy. But it's really important that we're getting in those extra things, because it really helps, like, for really good heart health, gut health. It helps, like, if we have like tumors or colon and GI issues, we can put additional things into our juices that's going to allow our body to actually begin to function how it's supposed to.
Ginger, lemon, lime, orange, all of these things have super high vitamin C content, but also are very good at fighting cancers. They're very good at free radical issues. They're antioxidants, so super important for the body. You love ginger. Ginger and juice actually makes the juice hot. It brings heat into it. Cayenne pepper is another great one, like you talked about, but for colon health. And then also cinnamon. Cinnamon is great for blood sugar as well. So you're doing these things, and people will say, like, if you drink a lot of juice, you're going to spike your blood sugar, you're going to mess with your insulin levels. And that is not the case when it's done right. You will not spike your blood glucose. You're not going to spike your blood sugar levels when you put in good, natural, fresh pressed juices, because you're still getting in fiber as well, which decreases gastric emptying and decreases your body's ability to spike its blood glucose, which then spikes insulin. This is what leads to insulin resistance. And juicing actually will change and reverse insulin resistance, not cause it to be worse. And that is a common misnomer, that they'll say, well, you drink too much juice, you're getting in too much sugar. Not the case. Not the case at all. Let's talk about juicing machines.
Yeah,
because they are not all created equal. There's centrifugal, which is centrifuge, that spins, and basically it's a net with some teeth on it, and it's got micro mesh in it, and it spins and basically chops up the juice, chops up the vegetables, and then the juice pulls out of it.
You have a lot more waste.
Creates a lot of heat as well. Yep. So you are correct.
So the concern is the waste, but then when we're heating, we just talked about when we heat things, and depending upon how long the juicer is going, then we're denaturing some of the good stuff that we're trying to get out of our fruits and our veggies.
Breaks it down. Yes, correct. That's it. And then there's a masticating. Yes, mastication. You want to talk about that?
I think of it like a mastication, that's chewing, and that's where it actually I love the sound of putting carrots through it, because it sounds like the machine is chewing it. And so that is the first part of digestion. So you can think about the machine doing that first part of chewing up all of the vegetables and the fruits that you're putting in that. And then it goes through that process. And the second process then is where it's kind of like squeezing, and that's where you get the juice. You get a little bit of that pulp, but you get all of the vitamins and nutrients that you need.
So mastication juicers are better than centrifugal juicers. And then there's one more too. It's called a Norwalk. And these things are extremely expensive, but they are awesome. And basically they masticate, but then you get a bag out of the pulp and it hasn't been pressed, and then it presses it. So instead of it basically putting it through a screw mechanism and just breaking it down, which is what a masticator does, it pulps it up really well, and then it goes into a bag and it presses it dry. And that's a cold press. And that is the most effective way to get everything out. And you can do it 2 or 3 times. They're basically between $3,000 and $5,000 if you want to buy a Norwalk. If you're going to juice all the time, and let's say you're using Gerson therapy or different juicing protocols to help fight cancer, Norwalk's going to be your best bet. The next one down from that then will be an Omega 3000. Those things can basically masticate and juice concrete. They do a great job. And then you have your centrifugal ones that you can buy, and they do range in price.
They do. And that's the most times, like when you look at a juicer, like most of them are going to be that centrifugal. So it's also, you get what you pay for. And so those lower, like if it's something that you're just going to start off with and see if you kind of like it, maybe just start with the centrifugal one and maybe just kind of, you know, start with it. But if you're like, no, I really kind of want to do this, then don't waste your money on the $20, the $50 one, you know. Invest the $200 to $300 and get the Omega juicer that's gonna last you. It's a tank, it's a machine, but then you're also going to be sure that you're getting everything that you're putting through the machine, that you're getting that back in the juice that you're making.
It's a big grinder. The other thing you want to think about then too is how do you preserve the juice? Because we'll have moms that do juice and you can't juice a banana, just so you know this. But they'll ask, like, can I put banana in my juice? I'm like, no, you're not making a smoothie. You don't need banana. But how do you preserve it then?
So that's where just like when you cut apples, right? You need to put the citrus on it. So you really need to have a citrus component in all of your drinks.
A little bit.
Yep. So you're going to put that in there. But then when you're filling your bottles, and we have like the little, like the old fashioned
like
Milkmaid, you know, bottles that have the cap, really filling it all the way to the top. And then if you don't have a really good seal with the caps, we put saran wrap over the top and then we really seal it really good. You can put it in the freezer, but usually if you're making that, like Saturdays or Sundays is when we usually batch, they'd be good for about 3-4 days. You can still drink them after that. You're going to notice that they start to change color. But if you can fill the bottle all the way to the top, that's going to keep down the oxidation. And then that's keeping all that extra air out of the bottle is going to help preserve it a little bit longer.
And those good caps have like a little rubber gasket in them. Like they're the top of, if you remember Snapples back in the day, they had the little gaskets. Here's the thing too, if you buy kombucha from us, those caps, you can use those kombucha glasses and reuse them for juice and just use the cap again. Those caps are made to be reused. So that's how you preserve it. And it's probably the easiest thing to do. And then the other thing that moms want to ask too is they'll be like, well, what about recipes? Like, how do we do this? What are some good ones? What are some bad ones? And you can think of it this way. Do you want something sweet for your palate or do you want something savory? Because some juices are really savory, like vegetable juice, which is excellent for you, excellent for your body. Tomatoes, onions, celery, cucumbers, basically making like a soup, but then juicing it all. Excellent for you. Gazpacho is right. Yeah, gazpacho. And that has lime in it too.
But you can still do your fruity based drinks. Like a carrot drink you would think would be mostly vegetables, but when you put the citrus in there, that turns out sweet. But carrots are inherently a sweeter component to that. So you can still make your green juices with lots of your veggies that can still have a sweeter taste to it. So don't get turned off of like, well, I don't like my vegetables, I'm not going to like it in a drink. You know, to be able to drink it that way. But if you I always like to add carrots because I like to have a little bit of that sweetness. So I always make sure most of my juices have carrots in it. And I like more of the lemon citrus more so than an orange or a lemon citrus. But that's what makes it fun because you can like try it and, you know, do a couple of recipes and be like, oh, we absolutely don't like this one, or oh, this one's really pretty. Beets, like that's a tough one to masticate and put through there, but a really good drink. Caveat, pro tip, don't do a beet drink before you're going to travel, a road trip or on
long
a plane.
Trip. Yeah, that'll clean you out.
But really good for GI health, right? But you're going to get a really pretty color in that bottle and add a little citrus to it, and you can add some kale. And that's where it's super fun to be able to make all of these different flavors. And there's not like a handful this, handful that. Well, how did you do that? Just write it down as you go, and you get to change the recipe as you're making it, which makes it a lot of fun. That's why kids can have fun of dropping this stuff in the juicer to be like, okay, what color is this going to make? Am I going to like what this tastes like?
Yeah, and I personally like green drinks that are more green. They end up being a little bit tartar for me. They're more sour. I enjoy that.
Bitter, yeah.
Green apples are great. Apple carrot is a classic. Apple carrot and ginger. those are all really high anti-inflammatories.
Yep.
Like they're great for you. They're a cold buster. Same thing with orange juice. Or you can just go with the classic and just juice an apple or just juice an orange and get that stuff out. Now, last thing, people will also say, well, if you juice, you don't get the fiber. Like you don't get the fiber, you need the fiber. Then eat an apple. Like eat the apple, eat the carrot, eat the orange, all of it. Get rid of the peel. The peel is actually what you shouldn't really be eating much of. That is what you need, but then still juice over the top of it.
And that's where sometimes like you're going to look at it and be like, look at all of this waste because you do get a lot of that pulp. So if you have dogs, you can dehydrate that. Like we used to do that as well. You can take that
eat
pulp
it as a human too.
You can eat it, but then we would make treats with that for our dog
and for the bunny
and you can dehydrate it. There's all different recipes. We have tons of recipes on our Pinterest page. So different juicing recipes and things. But if you have a favorite, like I'd love to hear what other people have juiced. There's many local companies that do juicing. Jen, like we can put Jen's link on here as well. She's up and coming with her juices and like just the flavor palettes again. And it's just really cool to be able to think, okay, it's always taste the rainbow, right? But now I am drinking the rainbow and knowing that, okay, when I drink the orange one, it's going to be for this. And when I drink this red one, this is really good for my heart health. This one's my tummy, my gut. And that's where you can really go deep into this of like, I'm having some heart issues or GI issues and to figure out what recipes maybe that we need to consume more of to be able to boost and give our bodies the energy and the things that it truly needs. Chiropractic is going to be first because that's what controls the organs to make sure they're working, right? So we need to have that as the foundation. But then when we do these juices, then they can be absorbed and they're going to be functioning how they're supposed to within the body.
And when you have a kid that has anxiety, ADD, ADHD, focus issues, juicing helps a ton. Juicing is going to get them the iron, the copper, the potassium, all these different things that they need. And they're going to get some fats, and you can put that in there too. Like you can add some oils in as well if you want. Yes, it's going to taste kind of oily, but then you're going to get your fat solubles in as well. Like there's numerous things you can do with juice. It's a plethora. It's awesome. It's fun to do. And last thing is price and cost. Some of you, if you're out there and you're buying juices from some of your local juiceries, you're paying $7, $8 a juice. Well, once you juice once, you do realize like why it does cost that. Because
you appreciate it.
You appreciate it, and it goes quick, but it's good for your body. And if you want the clarity, you just got to keep screening it. You can use micro meshes, you can use different cheesecloths, things like that, so it doesn't separate. But I don't really care. Juice is meant to be shaken up and drink anyways. Same thing with breast milk, right? Which we just talked about last episode for June Dairy Days. So, Dr. Julie, you got anything else you want to add in on this one?
No, it's great. I'm thirsty.
Yeah, I'm thirsty too. And just remember, if you can't get it in juice, you got really good multivitamins out there as well through standard process that can help as well. So everybody go out there, have a great week. Get your juicers out. Go get a juice. Enjoy yourselves. Have something refreshing. Take care, everyone. Bye.